I was just saying that it's not easy to be a student these days because you have to stay. I don't think I can come over here because I will be in the middle of the slide. So anyway, I'll stay around here. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, it's not easy to be a student these days because you have to stay and have a lecture, a class up until 9:30. This is not easy. But anyway, so I was told to be talking with you about a number of topics around computer crimes and laws and even maybe ethics. But I'm finding that my presentation is mostly about some of the legal aspect of computing, especially related to the laws in Hong Kong that has to do with computers. When I was like you, when I was studying in engineering school, I never thought about the law. But I think today things have changed a lot because you read in the news every day, all the time, that you have all these problems with privacy, hacking, and so on. All these problems. Computer crime. The police every year come to the Legislative Council, or maybe they tell the public that Hong Kong is very safe because our crime has been going down. Not so many fewer robberies and so on. People don't rob each other, rob people on the street or rob a bank, right? Because they don't need to. Like what you see in the movies, they carry a gun into the bank and then give me your money. No, they don't have to do that. They probably want to hire someone as smart as you to help them hack into the bank and get all the money, right? And very safe. You don't have to worry about getting shot by the police, right? Because you might still get caught, but at least it's very safe. You can do it from home. So a lot of times we're seeing that actually computer crimes is going up very rapidly, which is understandable. It's a safe way to commit a crime because you don't have to commit physical harm. But anyway, so I want to take a quick look at the computer-related crimes in Hong Kong. And in fact, this is a list of some of the or the major part of what sometimes is called in Hong Kong the Computer Crimes Ordinance. It's actually not a single ordinance. It's actually a whole body of different laws that covers the Telecom Ordinance, Crimes Ordinance, and the Theft Ordinance, and so on. So it was actually last revised in 1993. At that time, including Section 161. Access to a computer with the intent to commit an offense or with a dishonest intent. 即係個不誠實及有犯罪意圖使用電腦. This is all part of this whole legislative exercise in 1993. So think about that. That is how many years ago? That was how many years ago? 26 year or so ago, more than a quarter of a century ago. And that was the time when our government, that before the handover, they tried to update some of these laws to cover computer crimes. To be honest, this hasn't changed for a quarter of a century. Okay? So in 1993, was there any smartphone? No. iPhone was only 11 years old, right? So 26 years ago, no iPhone, no, actually, 大哥大都唔知有未? Yeah, I think there are some, right? But nobody considered them nobody considered those big, bulky mobile phone at the time to be a computer, right? Even in 1993, what are the computers we're talking about? Very slow IBM PC or maybe some Mac machines, right? Early Mac machines. So the situation is very different. No internet. Yes, internet, but only in the universities, right? But not in the commercial sector. So very different. No social media, no nothing. But in fact, our law hasn't changed for more than a quarter of a century. So you can imagine why there are some of the problems that we are facing today, and we may come to some of that later. Besides this list of laws, which you look at these laws, they are mostly about causing damage. The Telecom Ordinance says that if you commit unauthorized access to any computer, of course, by computer, they might also include telecommunications equipment, networking equipment like routers and so on. So if you hack into or you obtain unauthorized access into a computing system, into a telecommunications or computing system, you committed a crime. But we actually asked the government, how many times did they use the first one, Telecom Ordinance, to prosecute anyone? You know the answer, how many times they used this law? 2 times. And it was about stealing or using illegal set-top box to steal cable TV signals. So you can imagine how many years ago that must be. Nobody used those. I don't know if any of you remember, maybe you were too small at the time. You go to Shenzhen and you can buy, or even Abliu Gai, you can buy those illegal set-top box so you can watch cable TV without paying cable TV. Nobody does that anymore. You have the internet, right? Whether you want to pay or some people get pirate copies and so on. You don't have to do that, right? But anyway, that was what they used. So in other words, this law hasn't really been used at all. Of course, another piece of law that has been used a lot, and we'll come back to this interesting development with the Section 161. This access to a computer with dishonest or criminal intent. This is the one that recently, as you may know, a week or so or 2 ago, there was a judgment by the Court of Final Appeal about this particular law. We'll come back to that later. But basically, this is very old school, very traditional consideration of computer. Breaking in a computer, using someone else's computer in order to commit a crime, okay? Any consideration about privacy? Any consideration about data? Who owns the data? And all those very complicated issues that many of you are thinking about these days? No, not at all, because you're talking about 26 years ago. So another piece of legislation that was enacted not too long after the handover was something called the Interception of Communications and Surveillance Ordinance. 呢個叫做截取通訊及監察條例。So ICSO, this really has to do, the scope of this law is very limited. It only governs, it only covers law enforcement agencies. So that means police, ICAC, customs, and so on. So for a law enforcement agency, if you want to conduct surveillance on a subject, somebody, if somebody wants to conduct surveillance on me, then supposedly that law enforcement agency, the police or ICAC or whatever, let's say the police, they would have to go to a particular special panel of judges to get a clearance, to get an authorization. After that, after the exercise is over, they need to submit a report and destroy the collected information within a short period of time and so on. There's a legal requirement. So what does that mean? That means the police supposedly cannot conduct surveillance anytime they want, unnecessarily, right? So this is the intention of the law. The good thing is we have this law so that we are sort of containing what the police or law enforcement agency, that what they can do and cannot do. But on the other hand, this doesn't cover anybody else. So sometimes when people ask, are some of these intelligence 情報機構 intelligence agency from from the US, from Europe, from Japan, from China, if they are in Hong Kong, and they are secretly tapping and listening to my phone and getting my computer messages, is there any law that we can use to target these kind of activities? The answer is actually not really, because this only covers the Hong Kong law enforcement, okay? So anybody else is outside of this law. But interesting about this law is that for many years, we have been asking the government to update this law as well. But the government don't seem to want to do it. Where do we want to update this law? Because how many of you have watched the movie 竊聽風雲第一集、第二集、第三集 How many of you have watched 竊聽風雲1? 冇人睇過，太舊啦 ，too old。竊聽風雲2、3，喂，真係已經太舊啦。Okay, well, okay, I tell you why. If you watch 竊聽風雲1, it was really about 竊聽. What does that mean? Telephone, tapping. So, in the movie, who was the because the same actors, they switch different roles in the 3 movies. The first movie, I don't remember who was playing the police. Okay, but the police in the first movie was trying to tap into the conversation of the criminals by telephone. But when you watch the second and the third 竊聽風雲, it was actually about computer or data or even surveillance cameras, images that was connected to the internet. And so in fact, we were saying, if there is such a law to control the police about whether or not they can listen to my telephone conversation, why wouldn't this law apply to data communications as well? But the government, for their own convenience, probably they want to keep it this way, because right now, the interesting thing is, if I'm the police, I want to listen to your telephone conversation, I have to go to the court, this special court under this ICSO. I have to be responsible under this ICSO. If I want to get your email messages, I want to get your WhatsApp messages and other electronic data communications, I don't need to do that, because they're very smart. They understand the government, understand IT. They say this is store and forward. So if I want to get your email messages, I only need to go to the internet service provider, and then I use a normal warrant. Sometimes they don't even get a warrant, because remember, in this case, they have to get a special warrant, which means it's more difficult to get. So they want a lower threshold, they want a lower requirement when they are trying to get your email or WhatsApp or other electronic messages. I only need to go to the internet service provider and say that this is collection of evidence, 搜證. I'm just getting evidence. I'm not doing surveillance. But in reality, what's the difference, right? Under other countries' laws, they treat data and voice the same. But in Hong Kong, ironically, they treat voice more stringent than they treat data. So this is one of the controversy and one of the areas we try to get the government to update this law, but they refuse to. Remembering that when Edward Snowden was in Hong Kong a few years ago, in fact, we asked the government what are the laws that would be able to, that is on the Hong Kong legislation, our Hong Kong law book, that we can use to target hacking activities and so on. And that's when we actually found out that actually it was quite insufficient. Because, as I said, the ICSO does not cover anybody other than the Hong Kong law enforcement. the telecommunication ordinance law about breaking into unauthorized access to a computer actually was never used successfully to prosecute anyone other than stealing cable TV. So for the real hacking activities, it's like there's nothing they could do. But you see that in some of the reports, university researchers have been always commenting that Hong Kong really lagged behind in terms of computer laws, surveillance laws, and so on. So why are we saying that we are lacking in surveillance laws in terms of the updating these surveillance laws? The reason is because if we look at the coverage of, I was talking about the Interception of Communication Surveillance Ordinance, ICSO. Like I was saying, the government, supposedly there's this warrant requirement, but in fact for metadata, you all know what is metadata, right? Yeah, like in your emails, your data other than the body of the content of the data, the rest of it that contains maybe the other related data to the whole message. The metadata and other personal information are actually not covered within the warrant requirement, whereas in many other countries or jurisdictions, they have such requirement. But Hong Kong, in many cases, the government law enforcement agency have a tendency to bypass getting a warrant, to make it very easy. They will always say, if we go get a warrant, the criminals will know we are doing it. So we need to be very quick. So we cannot wait for the court. So we need to act very quickly. And then we say, fine, can you give us the number of times that you apply for a warrant, how many times you didn't apply for a warrant, and how many times you used the information obtained to actually proceed to a prosecution or an arrest. They never like to provide us with the numbers. Every time the government will say, we do not keep that data, because they don't want us to see that they have been abusing the system. A lot of times they make it becomes very routine for them to go and ask for as many data as they need from the internet service providers. Some internet service providers, especially those like Facebook, Google's, if you go on Facebook and Google and even Microsoft and so on, they publish a transparency report. How many of you have heard of the transparency report? You can Google about Google transparency report, Hong Kong, and then you will see the page about how many times there was a request for personal data or request to remove data from the Hong Kong government or any other government. They would publish that information. They don't publish that information for China because it's supposed to be national secret, national security. So no data for China. But for Hong Kong, yes, they would tell you maybe, okay, how many times the government has requested data from Google or Facebook. But you can see that they don't comply all the time. In fact, most of the time, they will say, sorry, you need to get us a warrant in order to get the data. Can I use this example? Do you remember, I'll use this example, it's okay. It's a little bit more fun. Do you remember when Chen Houtin, that was him, right? The Hong Kong Independence Party, he was banned by the government, right? Do you remember for a few days the police in the news were saying that they want to ask Facebook to remove the Hong Kong Independence Party page? Yeah, they did. Yeah, and in fact, there were also a lot of other people telling, oh, Facebook should remove it because it's illegal. But I think if you check on Facebook, it's still there. You know why? Because actually, the police was trying to contact people in Facebook to say, remove this information. And Facebook said, no, you have to give us a warrant. And the government knows that, the police knows that if they try to get a warrant from the court, Facebook may object. So it will be a big deal. It would be quite embarrassing, actually, because there is a chance that they may not get the warrant. Because why? Remember that they were banning the Independence Party based on a law that was about triads. So if it was really taken to the court, the only thing is the Independence Party did not have the money to go to court, right? So they did not fight it. But if Facebook get involved, they may fight it. They may hire a lawyer to say we should not remove the data. And the government may lose, so they didn't try. Okay? So you can still see that content. The other thing is we keep telling the government, actually we privately tell the police, if they do this, what will Facebook do? They will do something called geo-blocking. Geo-blocking means that, okay, just they do it all the time, but usually not for Hong Kong type of jurisdiction. They do it for Burma, Pakistan, these types of countries. Because these countries will tell them, ban this content, ban that content. And they can serve them a legal request because it's really illegal under the local law, let's say in Pakistan. But Facebook will say, but this is not illegal in the US, this is not illegal in Hong Kong. So I can block the content, but only block it in that country. The rest of the world can see the content. So if the police really get a warrant to tell the police to remove a certain page, let's say the Independence Party or Chen Hou-Tien or whoever, or Mo Lai Guang, if they do this, Facebook will say, okay, this is local law, Hong Kong law, so you cannot read it, see it in Hong Kong, but you can see it in Taiwan, you can see it in Singapore, you can see it in the US. It's actually going to be a big embarrassment because that would mean that we will finally have content censorship in Hong Kong, right? So in the end, fortunately, at least up to now, the government hasn't tried that. Anyway, the other thing that I want to very quickly talk about is, of course, the Personal Data and Privacy Ordinance. It's a very simple piece of law. It was enacted just before the handover. Again, that means more than 20 years ago. There was a minor revision about 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. But of course, recently we have a lot of big incidents, Cathay Pacific, TransUnion, and so on. Those recent cases of last year affecting a large number of people. So we all been saying that this law is outdated, not enough teeth for the privacy commissioner, and so on, not enough protection, and so on. Especially if you compare our law with the recent developments in Europe. GDPR and so on, General Data Protection Principle. Very stringent requirement, very strict law protecting personal rights and so on. In fact, our law was very good 20 years ago. Hong Kong is always, a lot of times Hong Kong is like that. We have a good piece of legislation, but number one, and these legislation, when they were first enacted, the business sector will say, oh, if you do this, I cannot do business. It will be too expensive. So please, don't punish us. Get some enforcement experience first. Don't make the punishment level too high. So, let us get used to the new law. But the problem is, they never really get used to the law. And then the law will be around for 10, 15, 20 years with very little to no updating. So think about this. Hong Kong law is a lot of times, one of our problems is they are not updated very frequently. Of course, the government will blame the LegCo because they say, oh, you people are liable, you people spending too much time, it's so difficult to update the law. But, the reality is these laws are a lot of times are very outdated because the government is very reluctant to take these laws to the LegCo. And this is a good example, the privacy law. It was a very good law. These 6 data protection principles are actually still valid. The collection purpose has to be specific. They have the data that's collected, personal data must be kept very accurate, and good retention policies, very specific use about these data use must be defined, good security measures, openness about the policies, not opening the personal data itself, and also the right for the users to access my own data and make correction. These principles, most of them, all of them are still valid. There might be a few new additions in the GDPR, for example, things like right to be forgotten and so on. We could argue about those, but but the problem is there's really no teeth in this particular law. So at the moment, after the Cathay Pacific and TransUnion, particularly the Cathay Pacific incident, the government has said that they will be reviewing the privacy ordinance maybe early this year. We're still waiting for them to submit the recommendations and so on. So we'll see. But basically, our challenge is how do we keep updated ourselves to be on the same level or at least closer to something like GDPR. Because as an international city, if our level of protection is way below the global standard, it is actually going to be bad for our business as well. The other problem is also the new problem about data portability. How do we, particularly in the context of personal data, how do we treat data when they move from one jurisdiction to another? This is a big issue. You may not know that in this particular privacy ordinance, there is a section 33 that originally in 1997, before the handover, when the law was passed in 1996 actually, at the time there was a requirement in the law to say that we can, personal data, Hong Kong people, Hong Kong subject, personal data cannot be transported to another jurisdiction with lower legal protection for privacy. Okay? But that part of the law was not enacted. There was no enactment date. So which means that it's part of the law, but no effective date. If the government needs to enact that part of the law, they have to come back to LegCo, and they have not done it for more than 20 years. Okay? So the reason, because the business sector is against it. They say, oh, we do all these back-end processing in China and other countries all the time. So if you enact this law, then it will be very difficult for us, very expensive. We cannot do that in China anymore. The other problem is that our government, our privacy commissioner, will have to issue a list of countries that is acceptable, a white list. So it will be also quite embarrassing if they end up saying that China is not on the white list, right? Because their privacy protection, the laws are relatively behind Hong Kong. It's going to be embarrassing for our government to say that, right? So they keep on delaying the enactment of the law for more than 20 years. But of course, the other problem is we have cloud computing today. So with cloud computing, it's not like 20 years ago when they first wrote this law. Only your data is only put on the server, right? And the server is usually very close to you, right? You only move it to China or another country, to India, to Canada, because you want to do back-end support. So you make a copy over there. So if you don't make a copy, fine. I put everything in Hong Kong, right? But Today, everybody put everything on the cloud. And all these cloud providers, global cloud providers, not even talking about Ali Cloud and so on, those the Chinese ones. Obviously, for the Chinese ones, they put some of these data in China. But actually, for even Amazon, for Microsoft, for Google, the three biggest international US players, Amazon has server in China. But it's not just about China, because they have servers all over the world. It might be India, it might be other countries. So how do you know where the data is? It's not like 20 years ago. It's very straightforward. I can only, all I need to do is count my servers, and then I say, okay, this is where my data is. Today, you don't know where your data is. So it's adding a lot of new complexity to these laws, and that's why how do we tackle this problem of data portability to be technology friendly, but at the same time provide enough protection for the individuals. The recent development of the Section 161, the access to computer with criminal or dishonest intent. This law originally enacted in 1993, as we saw earlier. What was the intention? The intention was some people may want to commit a crime using a computer. Well, think you're talking about 1993 computer, okay? So I might be falsifying a document. I might be using that document to try to cheat somebody else and make some money, okay? And fraud, 欺詐, commit fraud. But the point is, I did not complete the transaction. I did not commit the fraud in the end. But I was in the process of trying to commit the fraud. Okay? So the police at the government at the time, they said, well, there's nothing I could do. If I really committed the fraud, they can charge me with other offenses. But if I didn't complete the process, I was only using a computer during the process, and then I stopped. There's nothing they could do, and they thought that this is a loophole. And they tried to use this particular law to close the loophole. But then what happened? The government found that it's so easy to use, because I can use this to charge anything. First of all, computer, the definition of computer was not only a desktop computer anymore. It can be your mobile phone. It can be your digital camera. So it became very easy to use this law to prosecute those people, let's say, 偷拍, 英文叫咩啊? Whatever 啦. Yeah, so they were using this to make it very easy to prosecute all kinds of different crimes, and to the extent that they also use this laws to try to go after people who might be saying something, posting something on social media. For example, there were some cases during the umbrella movement that had to do with people actually telling people, tonight, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., let's go to the Admiralty MTR station, and we can jam up the place, or we can do this and do that, and so on. The government used this law to prosecute these kind of cases. But we were saying that, no, you should be using other laws. Maybe incite a disturbance. 即係呢排猛咁告緊人嗰啲啦. Using other laws, like inciting a riot, and so on. There are other laws that you can use, but the reason is the government thinks that this law is easy to use, easy to get successful prosecution. So they keep on using this law, and it becomes so broad that the problem is, three problems. Number one, there are some crimes that would be illegal if you're using a computer, but not illegal if you are not using a computer. For example, just like the case that I was talking about, if you post something on Facebook and say, let's go to Poly U tonight and trash the place up and do something really, really crazy. Okay, they can use this law, prosecute you. But think about this: if I print poster and stick it everywhere in Tsim Sha Tsui or Hong Kong and say, let's all go to City U and do this and do that, they won't charge you, right? So why is it that you single out using a computer for the same kind of behavior? Okay. Second, there might be a problem too. Sometimes people say, 真係唔抵啊，俾佢告呢條罪. But sometimes I say it's actually a lesser crime. Because if you are inciting a riot, I use that particular crime to prosecute you, the punishment may be much higher. So sometimes the government is just using something very easy, very convenient, but actually they might let somebody go even more lightly than than the real punishment under other crimes. And number three, which was the particular. You remember, like I said, and you might have read a week or two ago, the Court of Final Appeal overturned this law and said that it is basically the government, the Department of Justice and the police had been stretching this law too much to cover crimes that it was not originally intended for, and that is wrong. So they overturned the use of this law, and the particular reason that they used was that if I'm using my own computer, you cannot say that I am using this computer with a dishonest intent, because it is my computer. If I use this computer to commit a crime, then you use that particular what crime I committed and prosecute me based on the kind of crime that I committed, not based on the fact that I used my own computer. But of course, if I use somebody else's computer, then that could be dishonest. So the most recent example is Hui Jifeng, because he took someone else's telephone and he was trying to send I don't know why there's no password in that phone, but anyway, he tried to send the information on that phone to himself by email, or by, I don't know, email or whatever, but let's say email. So he was trying to send information from that phone to himself. So that could be considered still covered by this law. But as long as I'm using my own computer, then you cannot. The court is saying that you cannot use this law to prosecute somebody in those cases. So anyway, some people are very worried now because they say, then all those 偷拍 situations, what can we do? Well, the reality is the government, the police can still use other laws, but they might think that it's more complicated. The other thing is the Law Reform Commission. In the government, there's a Law Reform Commission that is under the Department of Justice. They review laws and they would determine whether or not laws need to be updated. And they have, years ago, told the government that they should set up new sex crimes law to cover broader scope of sex-related crimes. And 偷拍 can be covered in that, should be covered in those kinds of laws and not under this kind of general purpose laws. So anyway, we have been telling the government for more than 10 years that this is not the right law to use. They keep on insisting using it because it's easy and quick and easy. So, but finally, now they cannot do that anymore. Anyway, I don't have to go into this detail. We actually talked a lot about this already. It was set up in 1993. No compute, no smartphone, no social media, and so on. So the original purpose was, acts preparatory but falling short of the commission of a fraud. This is the legal language that they used at the time, 1992, when they At the time, the Secretary for Justice went to the LegCo to talk about this law. So anyway, more than 100 people were charged every year in this law by all these different reasons. But again, we asked the government for many years, can you give me, this year, 100 people, let's say, were charged using this law. How many of them were charged for using this law because of online fraud? How many was because of illegal access to a computer? How many because of taking these kinds of upskirt or other kinds of sex-related videos and photos? DDoS, how many times? We wanted to get the statistics at the time to try to understand, even, let's say threatening messages, which means because of things you say. So give me a breakdown. The government keep on saying that we do not keep such data. And we said, how difficult it is for you to count 100 cases and count it for me, because we asked the question, you said you didn't keep this information. Can you keep it from now on? They refuse. So they obviously they know that they were abusing the law. They don't want to give us the evidence to prove that it was against the law. But anyway, the other thing is, in the past, they usually use these laws to prosecute young people, poor people, people who unlikely to appeal. They will not use this law to prosecute a political party, because they know they must appeal. But somehow, I don't know, maybe they forgot about this. They prosecuted this case, which has to do with some teachers or stealing exam papers. Yeah. So these people they appeal, and as we expected, as long as there's a case that is being appealed, the higher court would overturn the lower court verdict. This is also very common in Hong Kong too. The lower court would sometimes be more conservative, and as you reach a higher court, there's a better opportunity for us to say, this is so unfair. Why this keep on happening? You have to have cases reaching a higher level in order to get these kind of reversals and verdicts. So finally, it happened a couple of weeks ago. The Court of Final Appeals finally. Anyway, I think we covered all these as well. Because this law really had too broad a definition of computers. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about these. These are some of these cases. If you're really interested, you can read into this later on. The number of cases actually was highest during the year of the umbrella movement, and then it went down again. So we really have reasons to believe that it has to do somewhat with the use of this law by the police to try to prosecute people for what they post on Facebook and so on. So anyway, this is just background information. I think we covered that anyway. This is my staff really did a lot of background information about this. We in 2014 actually during or at the close to the end of the umbrella movement, we did a online call for action signatures drive. 5,000 people, more than 5,000 people signed to tell the government to not to abuse the use of this law, but in the end they keep on continuing until now. Finally, the Court of Final Appeal overturned this law. But having said that, I don't want to go into these details because I want to keep some time for you to ask some questions. This is the primary school case, but Okay, yeah, still about 161 is too much. Yeah, too much. But anyway, I, I just want to say this. So, we think we won and the government, the police cannot misuse this law again anymore, right? So everything is going to be great. Not necessarily, because I have another new worry, and I'll probably close with this point, and then maybe leave some more time for you to maybe ask some questions or share some of your views. My worry is that the government will now say that, oh, so the current law is not, well, it's very difficult for me to prosecute many of these cases. So we need to set up new laws. And there are going to be a lot of people that will say, you know, all these crimes are being committed on the with computers, on the network, on the internet. So we need stricter cybersecurity law, which is actually the trend in many parts of the world. That they, broadly speaking, they will say that the laws is not sufficient. Even in Western countries, they are saying that, you know, so many of these criminal activities or people posting ISIS, you know, Islamic terrorists, right? Posting these videos on YouTube, telling people to become terrorists, not tourists, terrorists. So very bad. So we need to have more laws to tell these social media companies to be more responsible, and we need to be able to prosecute these people that are posting information or using the computer to commit crime more easily. So actually, there are a lot of people saying this kind of thing from even Western countries. And you also may know that in China, there is also their cybersecurity law. Their cybersecurity law basically says that any company must turn over all the data directly to the government whenever the government wants it. You know, there are actually companies in China that is in the business of building a service, a pipe between your server and the government server, so that you don't have to worry about making copies. Everything is directly given to the government. And my company can do it for you, so you don't have to worry about changing your computer architecture. No problem, don't worry. Whether you're using Ali Cloud, whether you're using your own servers, no worry. I can add a software to you, to your to your computer system, and then no worry. All your information will be given to the government, so you are going to be in compliance with the law. So it's not only about personal privacy, it's also about company secret. No company secret, right? Because the government will know all about it. But that's the way that the Chinese cybersecurity law is very draconian. But even for other jurisdictions, Singapore, Taiwan, Australia, they have been enacting cybersecurity law that gives a lot of power to the government to allow them to conduct surveillance, get information from internet companies, computer companies, your companies, including even Australia. A very controversial law recently in Australia that allowed the government to request companies such as Facebook, WhatsApp to give them a backdoor, so that the government can go in and get information whenever they want. So this is not just about China, it's actually about some of these Western democracies as well, including Australia. And then, of course, those companies like Facebook and Google and say, no, of course I cannot do this because I don't have a backdoor. They say they don't have a backdoor. Because if I give it to you, then my system is going to be unsafe. Well, because we never had a backdoor, so you say we have to give you the information all the time. This will be a big problem. We cannot comply. So there's a lot of these going on between these companies and the government in Australia. But that is the trend. because they are very worried about terrorists. They will do anything they think that is going to be useful. But of course, we are telling them, the technology companies, the technology sector is telling them, I cannot build a backdoor into my system. If I build a backdoor in this, just like WhatsApp, WhatsApp claims that everything is supposedly it is end-to-end encryption, right? How can they create a backdoor if it is end-to-end encryption, encrypted anyway? They are even saying that, for better for worse, they cannot even read your message. The company cannot read your messages either. But if they are forced to build a backdoor into it, that means the system is going to be fundamentally unsafe, right? Because I built the strongest safe, all iron, no hole. But if I know there's one backdoor, just like I shoot only one weakness, point of weakness, that means you say that only government know about this backdoor, but very soon the hackers will find out, right? So the safest way to build a system, as you all probably would agree, is to build a system that is 100% safe and strong, right? But if it is 1% or 0.1% weakness, there's a loophole, there's a hole, then eventually, very quickly, the hackers can find it, and then the whole system is can be compromised. So anyway, that is the big controversy right now between many governments and many technology companies. So my worry is that now that the government don't have this very convenient law to use, will they use it as an excuse or as a reason to say that, then we need a stronger law. We can copy some of these laws from other countries, including, let's say, Singapore or even Taiwan. Their laws were also giving government a lot of power to get into anyone's computer and to get information for security purpose. So you don't need Article 23. They can actually enact a cybersecurity law to accomplish many of these purposes. So that would be the worry. So at least we won one battle, but we don't know whether this will lead to something that might be even worse. So with all your understanding and with all your concern, maybe keep an eye on this kind of matter. It's going to be very important. So I'll probably close here and see if you might have any questions or ideas you may want to share. Okay, thank you.
Is there any questions for Council?
No question? Okay.
So I know that our government is going to give us 50 billion, as I remember, 50 billion for our IT industry. Could our graduates benefit from this kind of funding?
Okay, over the last 3 years, the governments supposedly have earmarked more than 1,000 億, that's 100 billion, supposedly, for IT. But okay, of course, you have to look into that number to see what it really means. Okay, 10 billion is for. I'll try to make sure I remember these numbers correctly. 10 billion, for example, is for attracting world-class institutions to come to Hong Kong, MIT, Waterloo, Johns Hopkins, to build R&D centers, right? So some of them are actually, I know, trying to cooperate with PolyU as well, right? Yeah. But don't know whether MIT will still do it now. But anyway, so some of that goes to research. Some of that goes to building the innovation and technology park in the Lok Ma Chau Loop, 即係河套. That is already, talking about a lot of, I don't remember exactly, something like 100 or 200 billion already. Oh, no, 10 or 20 billion already. 即係 It costs a lot of money to build buildings, okay?
Yeah.
So if you look at the whole number, how many of it is directly going to the small companies or going to the industry, going to the individuals? Not a lot. A lot of it is going to those big projects. R&D, okay? If you are a professor, if you are a university, if you are a PhD, you actually get to benefit more because a lot of this money is going into R&D, right? And even in the latest budget, they also allocated money for upgrading the labs facilities in university, which is good. But I don't know whether this is really IT or education spending, but still it is good. So if you stay in school, well, but you're already year 3, so maybe you won't get to enjoy it by the time the money is spent in the university to upgrade the labs and so on. But anyway, so what I have been trying to tell the government is I think they should spend more money in upgrading people's retraining. Because once you leave university, let's say you leave university with a bachelor degree or even a master's degree or even PhD, okay, after a few years, it doesn't mean that you don't need to upgrade yourself. You don't need to keep up with the latest development, right? Actually, a lot of people are saying that, not only that they need to go and study new stuff all the time. Of course, it does not mean going to classes. Some of them actually, a lot of people are actually going online to study. Some of those are free, but if you want the really good ones, a lot of times you go to MIT, whatever, online courses. Sometimes you have to pay. A lot of times you have to pay. The problem is, can you get reimbursed for that investment? Right now, we have very little resources from the government allowing you to do this retraining. We have the continuing education fund that only $20,000 for your whole lifetime, right? So you could do one course and spend it all. But the other problem is it's very complicated for these courses to be listed on the government's list. It's very bureaucratic. So a lot of these overseas courses, especially the online courses, are not put onto the Hong Kong government's list because they say, we ask the government, a lot of people are using these online courses. Can you put them into your list? The government said, no problem. Just tell them to come and apply. And we say, MIT and Berkeley is not going to come to Hong Kong government and apply to put on your list. They don't care. You have to put them onto your list. You don't tell them to come and apply and put it on your list, right? But they don't listen. So anyway, it's very bureaucratic. So we're saying that Singapore is doing it much better. They are spending like billions of dollars into retraining people. Once you use up the money that the government gives you, they will give you more money because they say, oh, you keep on using my money. That means you are studying very hard. I should give you more money, right? But Hong Kong government think differently. They think, oh, sorry, you use up all your money. The reason is our government likes to do things in a one-off, 一刀切, one-off, and everybody is very equal, okay? That's the easiest thing to do. Because they might worry that if I favor data science, if I favor AI, if I favor IT, then those people who are doing courses in hairdressing, 洗頭, teaching you how to drink red wine and so on, they will complain. Why are you favoring people for studying AI and giving them money after money? If they spend the money studying in AI, they give you more money because you're studying the most important subject. That's the way Singapore is doing. But in Hong Kong, they say, oh, everybody is fair, same, no difference. You use the money to learn how to appreciate wine, or if you are studying a course on data science and AI, you are treated the same way. So that's the problem. It's very bureaucratic and very not very flexible. And not very targeted. A lot of countries, especially Singapore, they do it in a very targeted way. I need to get these skills, the most important for our economy. So I focus in attracting people to go into this area. But in Hong Kong, they would worry because other sector would complain and they say, why are you giving them more money? You're already giving technology sector a lot of money, so don't do that anymore, and so on. Anyway, so for you guys, of course, if you are starting up your new company, there are more resources now than before. But you have to join these programs in Science Park and Cyberport, so there's still some money you can use from the government. But sometimes, don't think that those are free money, because actually you join those programs, you use their resources, and then you have a lot of forms to fill in, you have a lot of red tapes and so on, a lot of requirements. So it really depends. We see that there are a lot of good startups that actually, if they can find other money instead of from the government, it's probably better and more flexible if they don't rely on the government.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. 攰啊。OK。
我想問下咧，而家啱啱就講到話咧，政府嗰啲立法律改革問題啊，咁其實喺有關資訊科技界，有關於資訊科技界嘅法律有冇嘢係仲有草擬緊？
哦，OK。咁點啊？你中文問我，中文答喎，唔緊要啦嚇。有嘅，不過就好慢嘅。咁有啲法例，譬如我哋頭先講唔好話即係草擬緊或者諮詢緊啦，你諮詢完先草擬啦。其實仲有好多嘅，譬如今日咧，你一陣聽日睇新聞咧，或者今晚睇新聞咧，即係上網咧，你都見到佢又講緊嗰條叫做UEMO 啊，非應邀電子信息條例啊。咁即係以前咧，2007年立法嗰陣時咧，就係唔包人對人電話噶嘛。即係我打電話嚟叫你去借錢啊咩嗰啲咧，咁嗰啲係唔包噶嘛。咁其實個原因就係2007年嗰陣時啲商界話你咁搞法嘅，唔俾我打呢啲電話，我做唔到生意㗎啦。佢到今日都仲係咁講噶嘛。咁但係咧就終於政府就話而家建議改嗰條例啦。咁所以就嗰條就係如果好彩嘅話咧，2年到啦，我估最少就可以先至過到嗰條例咯。咁但係商界仲反對緊㗎，即係佢話即係咁我就做唔到生意。其實講嚟講去都係嗰啲美容同埋借錢嗰啲最鬼麻煩啫嘛。你成日收嗰啲電話都收咗10幾年啦。咁外國就一路已經有呢啲法例㗎嘛。咁而家啲人就話你就算立法都唔會完全冇嘅啫咁樣。咁我話你立法都唔係完全冇，不過唔立法咪仲更加多咁樣。咁 but anyway。呢個就嗰條係一個例子啦。私隱條例頭先都提過啦，就因為國泰嗰單嘢實在太瘀啦，咁就政府都話要改下法例，同埋真係落後個 GDPR 太多啦。咁但係你又見到呢排呢，又即係選舉事務處又出完事喎。咁其實唔好唔記得選舉事務處上邊嗰個局呢，就叫做政制及內地事務局，佢咁啱呢，又係即係雖然同政制同內地都冇關，就係佢又管埋呢一個私隱專員咯喎。呢條私隱條例又係佢搞嘅喎，所以我都好期望即係佢自己個局會唔會立條好強嘅例，跟住仲要罰翻佢自己個選舉事務處喎。咁所以唔知啦，你都零頭啦。咁所以呢，嗱，嗰個又係另一條條例睇緊㗎啦。咁另外一條都係睇緊嘅，其實冇擺喺度，應該擺埋喺度嘅。其實就同 open data 有關嘅。因為 open data 呢，其實我成日都覺得你而家成日我唔知你都應該有討論呢啲問題㗎啦。咁你 open data 成日就話政府開放啲數據開放得唔夠多，唔好講私人添啊，淨係講政府開放得唔夠多啊，啲 format 又唔啱啊咁樣。其實有啲外國已經立咗 open data 嘅法例，就監管埋政府一定要開放啲咩 data，in 啲乜嘢嘅 format 咁樣樣嘅。咁但係香港冇啦，但係其實冇呢，仲要褪前2步喎。就係香港而家法改會就做完咗啱啱 做緊諮詢啦，未即係收集意見就完咗㗎啦。咁佢仲未 publish 個 report 啦。就係法律改革委員會呢，就係睇緊兩條法例啊嘛，一個叫做檔案法，一個叫做資訊自由法。檔案法就即係政府要 keep 檔案，大佬唔好似我哋次次問佢就10問9唔應就話我冇 keep 嘅，咁一句我冇 keep 我就唔使理你㗎啦。咁我有咗嗰個檔案法呢，好多國家都有咗幾廿年㗎啦，就係你冇得話唔 keep 㗎喎，你一定要 keep 㗎喎。如果唔 keep 呢，我有罰則㗎喎，即係公營機構或者政府。咁第一就要有檔案法啦，就你冇得避啦，一定要 keep 嘢啦，就唔好話冇 keep 就大安旨意就冇事啦。第二就係好啦，你 keep 咗，你要有個法例喺度話點樣開放㗎嘛。而家我哋得個公開資料守則㗎嘛，咁政府好多嘢真係有 keep 嘅，但係佢就唔開放俾你啊嘛。佢有幾萬個理由可以用嚟做 exemption 㗎嘛。咁呢個就係而家改緊啦，因為嗰個俾人鬧咗好耐㗎啦，就係樣嘢記者好。啲大學教授好，我都話識得有個大學教授，佢就想問港鐵，就係話攞啲資料，佢點嗰陣時話佢未有嗰啲幕牆嘅，即係嗰啲咩啊？嗰啲門呢，有個即係有個閘喺度，即係安全啲。佢想攞嗰啲意外嘅數據咋，佢都唔俾佢啊。咁同埋唔俾嘅原因原來好多喎，其中個原因就係我就嚟會開放嘅資料，我就唔需要而家俾你，咁都得㗎喎。即係好離奇喎，嗰啲理由可以顛到。咁 anyway 啦，咁所以呢，你第一就要有檔案法，第二就有公開資料法，俾你呢就 make sure 嗰啲資料佢有 keep 嘅咧。第一佢要 keep，第二 keep 咗之後就肯開放。咁你先有得講 open data 㗎。如果而家最大嘅問題係話就講即係未學行先學走，前面嗰兩樣嘢都未講，就同你講 open data，咁死啦 ！open data 就佢下下其實就冇嘢 open 嘅。咁同埋佢又係等於冇公開資料法，咁於是佢就揾好多理由，啲部門就唔肯 open 俾你。咁或者 open 俾你嗰陣時就篤數嚇，即係呢，如果你2年前問政府呢，你問佢有幾多個 data set， 你知嗰個 open data 嗰個 data 係啦，嗰個 data.gov 呢 .hk 呢，咁。2年前你問佢呢，佢會話有8000幾個 data set 嘅。到上1-2個月，政府話有個新嘅 policy，就再開放啲 data。佢話俾你聽，嗰個 data set 嘅數目得返3000幾個。如果你熟書嘅呢，你話咦點解會少咗嘅？你明明話多咗，點解會少咗？其實因為以前水分太高啊嘛。佢會可以繁簡英文就當3。我試過見過有一個就係講唔知登革熱，舊年好似好多症，咁於是佢就將10年嚟嘅登革熱嘅個案，就將每年一個嘅 Excel file。我話我都唔係好叻 Excel 嘅啫，都知道有樣嘢叫 sheet 㗎。即係其實你擺埋一個 file 都嫌多啦。其實 Excel 都唔係好好嘅 format 添啦，不過算啦。佢叻到同你呢。即係為咗篤數呢，可以同佢斬到，你咪同我計下10年，然後即係唔知幾多10個啦。總之就佢好彩佢冇分繁簡英文，即係如果唔係再乘3。咁所以呢，點解會政府話越開越多，反而個總數少咗呢？其實佢好咗㗎啦，佢收翻啲水分嚇。咁所以呢，其實個問題就係政府咪。即係嗰啲數可能係篤出嚟嘅啫嘛，實際你要嗰啲嘢就永遠攞唔到啊嘛，咁就係翻去前面嗰兩個問題，佢都第一都唔 keep，第二就咁 anyway 嗰樣公開資料法同埋個檔案法，而家做緊法改會嘅諮詢，咁法改會如果快嘅，可能1年半載再出個 final report，就睇下政府肯唔肯跟住佢立法，咁林鄭就做。選舉嗰陣就話支持嘅，咁睇下佢係咪真係立，咁但係立得嚟，即係你要諗啦。法改會出咗嚟之後，政府就算 accept 嗰個 recommendation，佢再去做，仲要寫嗰條法例，全新嘅法例喎，所以又要耐啲嘅喎，跟住再要過立法會喎，仲有喎，唔知係2條一齊立定係先後立喎，所以你等得嚟都3-5年㗎啦。就係香港啲嘢咪就係咁慢咯嚇，咁但係呢樣嘢你。法改會淨係 research 呢樣嘢已經 research 咗唔知4年定乜嘢嘢好耐嘅，啲嘢係好慢，做得好慢，但係冇辦法，咁佢梗係賴立法會啦。係。你啱啱講過話 Science Park 嗰個。Science Park 係啊。 唔緊要，你講嚇。
咁例如話，我知好似有 step 嗰個咪10萬嘅，咁其實當因為
10萬係
都有好多情況會係例如話啲 startup 攞咗筆付款之後就乜都唔做，之後就笠咗筆錢就即係例如話就冇咗回事啦。咁其實呢啲多唔多情況會係話政府做埋啲撥款，然之後其實都係冇咗回事，或者根本就冇 follow up 咧，即係純粹話你填啲 form 就俾筆錢你啦。
咁又冇易到咁嘅，即係如果係咁，你哋個個都真係攞啲去揈下啦，係咪？即係又冇易到咁嘅，反而就好多咧嗱，兩睇，因為咧嗱，即係一定有啲咁嘅情況可能出現過，同埋咧嗱，你講10萬蚊嗰啲咧，嗰啲就係即係嗰啲係最 early stage 嗰啲嚟㗎嘛，嗰啲好多時從佢哋嘅角度 ，Science Park 好 Cyberport 好，佢就話呢啲叫做 conceptual stage 嘅嘢。你根本連啲 concept 都未完全搞清楚，不過鼓勵下你，俾10皮你就去試下。咁如果你做到個成果出無償嘅 ，OK， 咁你做到個成果出嚟嘅，就可能真係決定開間公司咯喎。咁我就先至俾你 join 我個 incubation program 喎，就睇得再緊啲喎。咁無可否認，頭嗰10萬嗰啲叫做以前嗰個 Cyberport 叫做 micro fund 嗰啲嘢呢，咁呢啲係好鬆嘅喎。咁其實好嘅地方就係，即係有時都要平衡嘅。好嘅地方就係你無償啊嘛，你可以天馬行空又好，或者俾個機會你去少錢10萬蚊，或即係俾你嘥咗佢又嘥咗嘅。咁但係講真又唔係好多錢，咁你鼓勵下你可能好好嘅喎咁樣。嗱我又唔會太覺得係好。嗱調翻轉，如果嗰個審計署呢，日日走嚟去話你嘥晒啲錢嘅話呢，咁啲官又唔敢做嘢嘅咯喎，所以我覺得又有啲平衡嘅。咁但係無可否認，你話而家我都有啲擔心你嗰啲 Cyberport Science Park 呢，淨係話呢排聽見佢哋講咩 FinTech 公司金融科技，你話喺嗰個 Cyberport 佢好似已經講到有幾百間，咁話有冇咁多公司啊？創業都好，咁其實有好多當然咧，嗱又係有啲咧就 moonlighting 嘅啫，即係日頭有份工嘅，即係又另外又話去 start up 啊，仲有好多時就係咩5條友一齊 start up 咧，就4個係有份日頭份工嘅，1條友跳出嚟，咁啊靠你啦，你去負你做人，你做個頭啦嚇，就去申請錢嗰陣時咧就你就係個 full time 啦，其他嗰啲就大家知啦，即係都未知。掂唔掂㗎嘛？咁我都係保住份工好啲啊咁樣。咁呢個無可厚非。咁但係呢啲公司呢，你話第日你話政府好叻㗎，佢會同你講啊，我哋個存活率即係譬如5年啊幾多年冇執到我當你存活。但係你知道我唔使執㗎，我間公司可以吊揈，可以繼續存在㗎。但係我又其實係唔係即係邊度有咁多間公司出嚟話 raise 咗好多錢？當然有好多又做得好好啦。咁但係咧，你有陣時政府好精，佢用個存活率嚟同你計咧，咁冇嘢㗎。我都一路 keep 住間公司，我又唔俾佢執，攞嚟印多張卡片冇乜所謂啦咁樣。有好多人都係會咁嘅喎。咁所以政府又利用咗呢樣嘢咧，就好似做得好好，其實又未必係嘅。即係有啲公司其實係唔生唔死嘅啫。咁呢種情況係多嘅。咁但係我又覺得你都係要個平衡嘅，你收得佢好緊嘅。咁於是咧，政府咪唔敢咯，咁咪唔俾啲 support 你咯。咁但係我諗唯一就係如果真係有啲真係明呃嘅，咁你就梗係要睇得緊啲啦。係難㗎，有陣時我又唔覺得真係要，即係你係咪見到有啲好咩嘅問題？嗱，近期有一個現象嘅，有可能你遲啲喺啲報紙都見到，就係話咩呢？就話 Science Park 同埋 Cyberport 入邊嗰啲公司呢，係好多呢，其實係根本喺觀塘啊，喺其他地方係已經係有 office 嘅。咁佢哋呢，為咗 join Science Park 同 Cyberport 嗰啲優惠呢，就去佢嗰啲 co-working space 就開張台咁樣。其實就有原因嘅，因為你政府又係衰，佢呢就係好多嗰啲 subsidy 優惠呢，就一定要你係 Cyberport 同 Science Park 啲公司先俾你。譬如請嗰啲叫做 intern 啦，譬如而家博士專才庫啦，呢啲路嗰啲。咁政府呢就因為佢話，哇！如果全部啲公司唔喺園區入邊嗰啲，因為園區嘅好處呢就係咩呢？佢識你啊嘛，佢叫做 入咗會，我驗過你身，知道你大概係點，唔會離譜得去咩？咁佢就費事。再，如果你有間公司無啦啦就自己喺外邊自己唔好話無啦啦，即係我從來冇入過你嘅，佢就費事煩，唔好搞咁多啊！總之我淨係俾我啲會員啦咁樣。咁於是大家咪話，既然係咁，我咪做你會員咯。咁我做你會員嘅，咪咁 Cyberport 又中意喎。講真 ，Cyberport 同埋 Science Park 嗰啲，尤其是 Cyberport 呢排，你成日講佢話佢最出嚟攞出嚟講嗰幾間公司，包括唔緊要啦 ，Cyberport 喺度我都係咁講嘅 ，GoGoVan。TNG 你都聽過啦，呢兩間公司佢哋成日就話，我哋 Cyberport 嘅 Incubate 啊做得好好啊。咁我心諗佢哋開始嗰陣時從來冇入過 Cyberport 㗎，係發咗之後掂咗之後，咁你又邀請佢入去，佢又話冇乜所謂啦，入咗嚟有啲着數喎，我哋請 PhD 又可以又容易啲有優惠啊各樣嘢喎，咁樣請 intern 又有優惠，我咪 join 咯。咁 Cyberport 就好似係佢養大咁樣，其實唔係噶嘛，係收養嘅啫嘛。咁佢越嚟越多呢啲收養嘅，咁就各取所需。咁呢個係好定唔好呢？我又唔可以話完全唔好，因為人哋入嚟又唔係為咗呃你嘅。但係真係你既然有呢啲優惠，我梗係入你個會，然後用埋你啲優惠啦，我又唔係呃人啦。但係 on the other hand 呢，你俾個假象就好似佢哋養咗好多即係自己親生仔出嚟，其實又唔係嘅。咁呢樣嘢就有啲 controversial 咯，即係有啲咁你有啲人就覺得你係咪呃我㗎咁樣？其實唔係做得咁好㗎咁樣，咁但係好難講咧。鬼叫你政府嗰個政策就係，其實我覺得你開放晒嘅，全香港公司都可以受惠嘅。咁你做多些少嘢，你咪去有間新嘅公司，我唔識嘅喎，但係喺觀塘或者九龍灣乜鬼嘅你做咗5年啦，做咗好耐啦，做得幾好啊！我唔識你喎，你又冇入過政府喎咁樣，冇入過呢啲 program 喎，我再去驗一驗你，睇下你真定假OK 喎，咁我咪俾你咯。但係費事做呢樣嘢，咁其實個原因係咩？佢將個工作 pass 晒俾 Cyberport 同 Science Park 做啊嘛。咁佢政府嗰個創新科技署唔使逐單去同你驗啊嘛。咁結果你咪逼晒啲人一定要去入佢個會咯。咁佢哋都而家唔係一定要你 physically 租個 office 先俾你啦。咁於是就出現呢個現象咯。好啦 ，thank you。